The NFL Combine is officially in the books, and every year it reshapes the draft landscape. So who showed up, who showed out, and who raised their draft stock in a major way? Who didn't just meet expectations but force NFL teams and fantasy managers to pay attention? I am breaking down the biggest Combine winners, the players who just solidified or even skyrocketed their draft stock, and most importantly, who should be our primary targets in Dynasty rookie drafts and even in redraft leagues this season. And yes, we will talk about some of the losers, of course, because there were some underwhelming performances that may have quietly boosted the outlook for several players on this list. Let's start off with some stars that showed out. Jeremiyah Love, of course. We knew that Jeremiyah Love was clearly a first-round pick and definitely the first running back off the board. But what the Combine did was make it very clear that there is not a chance that this man is making outside the top 10, and he can easily be a top 5 pick. Love ran a 4.36 40, measured in very well at 6 foot, 212 pounds. He moved very beautifully on the on-field drills, and it was really refreshing to see a guy who is clearly locked into his top pick participate in Combine drills. He was a very popular pick to be mocked to the Kansas City Chiefs, but now we are hearing rumors that he might not make it past the New York Giants. Realistically, we are looking at yet another fantasy football rookie that is going to end up having a low-end round 1, high-end round 2 ADP. I know it'll make you nervous, but he truly is fantastic. Also, this performance was not just critical for Love's landing spot, but also for free agency too, because the Chiefs realistically might not have a chance at actually getting Love at pick 9, and they can't risk it, so we might actually see them sign a 3-down back in free agency. Keyon Sadiq absolutely showed out at the Combine. Just a PSA to my league mates personally, if you snipe me on Keyon Sadiq in my rookie drafts this season, there will be retaliation, because at this point, we have seen the value of these extreme athletic tight ends that they bring to the NFL and how offenses can literally place them as the focal point above the receiving core. Keyon Sadiq is 100% a game-changing first-look pass catcher that will absolutely wreak havoc in fantasy football. Mock drafts haven't had him going as high as drafts last year had Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren going often, but that is less about Sadiq and more about the fact that this first round is very defensive heavy. But do not be shocked if he goes a lot higher than projected after going out there and literally having one of the most dominating Combine performances we have ever seen at tight end. Keyon Sadiq was not the only outrageous tight end at the Combine. Sadiq was actually outperformed on vertical and broad jumps by Eli Stowers. And while he didn't get close to Sadiq's time in the 40, it was still fantastic. Second in the class and above 90th percentile. We knew that Stowers was special, and the production he had absolutely proved it, but the performance here at the Combine really solidified him as a potential late first round pick, absolutely a round 2 pick, and we will absolutely be fighting for him in Dynasty rookie drafts if you miss out on Sadiq. Now let's talk about some running backs, because we've got some shifting perspectives at running back post-Combine. I wanted to highlight some of the key takeaways at running back because we could see some significant change in prospect rankings and draft capital. This year's class is very different than last year's class. Last year's consensus rankings were very even across the board. We all kind of felt the same way. There was variance, but for the most part, we all had the same point of view. This year, you will see a wider range of rankings, and quite frankly, a lot of this might come down to fit as well, because as we talked about in my Senior Bowl videos, a lot of running backs in this class could theoretically be 3-down backs, but we haven't actually seen them prove that. So the Combine performances were really critical here. Mike Washington Jr. should easily be the biggest mover. He ran the best 40 at 4.33 among running backs and literally tested perfect. I'm not joking. He was essentially perfect in all testing. To run a 4.33 at 6'1", 223 pounds is legitimately incredible. We are talking about a combination of speed and weight that puts him along the lines of players of builds like Saquon Barkley. And I'm not calling him Saquon Barkley, but that's just to give you a perspective of the type of performance that he had. And he knows his performance was critical too. You could literally see it on his face after he ran the 40, knowing that he truly did something that could change his trajectory moving forward. And more so than anything, he didn't just benefit from a great performance, he also benefited from others underperforming. Jadarian Price didn't really fail as much as he just kind of showed exactly why there's a clear difference between him and Jeremiyah Love. Speed was solid, but it wasn't really impressive. The size, just fairly average. Nothing really stood out. He was okay, but he was just kind of there, right? He did have one very nice catch in drills, which was very critical for him because obviously that was a question mark while playing alongside Jeremiyah Love. So while there were no major issues, he didn't just really wow us here. Emmett Johnson was another one who unfortunately had a really bad combine. He was clearly slow overall, stunningly slow for a guy that weighed in at just 202, getting smoked by guys that were 20 pounds heavier. His athletic testing, unfortunately, was terrible. His position drills were okay, but anything that was timed was just flat out bad. This was literally a draft stock killer for him. Moving on to quarterbacks, we're going to start off controversial right off the bat here with Taylen Green. Taylen Green, absolutely insane combine from an athletic perspective. We knew he was truly gifted, but this was absolutely insane. 4.36 40, second fastest ever at quarterback. 43.5 vertical, insane measurables, truly an athletic anomaly. So naturally, he is a big combine winner, particularly in a class where the QB talent overall is so incredibly underwhelming, but nothing was really proven from an actual skills perspective. That's the problem here. There were some good throws, but there were some terribly inaccurate throws, which is basically what we thought about him heading into the combine. He is very physically gifted. He has a big arm. His accuracy is just highly inconsistent. If this was 4 years ago, this man would vault himself into a first-round pick, but we've seen too many developmental quarterbacks go the way of being massive draft reaches that didn't pan out. This is one where we're going to have to see what the rumors are kind of looking like in terms of how teams view him. We're probably, though, still looking at a day 2 pick. Day 2 late pick at best. I still think that post-combine that the real wild card at quarterback is Garrett Nussmeier. Ty Simpson did enough to maintain his place as QB2 in the class, but Nussmeier could easily get that day 2 Tyler Shuck treatment where he ends up going to a place with a realistic chance to start in year 1. You can make an excuse as to why he performed bad in 2025, and thus far this offseason, the Senior Bowl and the Combine, he has looked like the old version of himself, the version that we thought was a round 1 pick. Allar is another wayward child that did fairly good at the Combine, in my opinion. His arm talent really showed, and while there might have been some slight mechanic concerns, I would assume that it probably showed more as fixable, and he could easily be seen by scouts as the perfect developmental type because of his clear prototypical size, the big arm, and the overall promise. Now let's talk movement at wide receiver. At wide receiver, I want to highlight some guys that could shift on day 2 because of some of the underwhelming performances that we had at the Combine at receiver. Wide receiver 1 through 3 has consistently been Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Makai Lemon, and technically not always in that order, but that really has been considered the top 3 with maybe a little bit of difference in opinion. Tate's 40 was underwhelming, but nothing dramatic. Tyson didn't participate. Lemon didn't run the 40, but did some drills and had some strange interviews. But what I want to look at is wide receiver 4 and beyond, because that is where the differences really start to show. Malachi Fields, unfortunately, was a big loser in this one. His 4.61 40 gave shades of Keyon Coleman, which is a pity because he was mocked to Buffalo by Daniel Jeremiah. Whoops on that one. Denzel Boston didn't run the 40. He looked a little shaky in drills. So some guys that could see some movement upwards, potentially over those guys, or maybe on par with those guys and get a little preference there. Jakobi Lane, very, very strong combine for him. He had a solid 4.47 40, good measurables, great drills, which was really critical for him because he was viewed as a contested catch guy because of the height. He's 6'4". But showcasing good movement, good speed, and looking really good in drills, particularly in the gauntlet drill, was very important for him. And speed in particular here will help him avoid any of those bad Keyon Coleman comps there just because of the size and contested catch thing. I think we could really see a shifting perspective here on him from scouts. He had one catch in particular that was literally the highlight of the Combine. Skyler Bell also had a really good showing here. From a fantasy perspective, we might end up valuing some of these day 2 picks that fall into solid locations where they can truly be strong wide receiver 2 options above some of those kind of middling guys with question marks. And Bell is one of those guys. He's got the proven production and he showcased fantastic athleticism at the combine. That is the key here. We knew he could put up numbers, but what kind of athlete really is he? He had a 4.440, excellent vertical jumps and broad jumps, and relative athletic scoring 9.71. He looked fantastic in the gauntlet drill. This could easily be one of those guys that starts to rise in Dynasty rookie drafts. Hopefully we can still get him at a steal here, so keep your eye on him because this could be a nice valuable pick for us. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can find me across all social media platforms at It's Terra Time, so make sure that you are locked in, tuned in, subscribe, turn on notifications because I'm bringing you more fantasy football content all off season long. We are just getting started with rookies and free agencies. It's going to be a fun off season, so make sure that you are tuned in.